And we all made it properly on time, even though none of us were prepared backstage.
You noticed?
It's fine. Oh, darling, I was fumbling around too. Of course I did.
I just saw both of you go.
Last second panic. Like literally it said 1 on the screen and I was like, I'm not holding my fan.
Full transparency, I'm holding my medication in my hand. So after I do my intro, I have to take my meds because that's the time of day we're filming. Anyway, hello, bonjour, hi. Welcome to the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy. Say something gay. Gay. Today I have water always, and I am drinking a cute little hazelnut vanilla latte that I made very hastily before this podcast because I forgot I haven't had caffeine this morning, and oh boy, do I need it to make it through this episode. But if I was drinking hot coffee and a smaller amount of such, it could hypothetically be in a cup mug. You can get yours at lanagcreations.etsy.com. That link is in the description below. We do ship domestically within the United States and internationally all over the world, so there are no excuses. Unless your country is currently under siege or on fire, then there are some excuses.
Well, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. I decided to wear my Denali shirt. Oh! Whoa! I just realized this. It's the same forwards and backwards, because it should be...
You just realized that?
Yeah. Wow.
Honey.
That's pretty cool. Wait, is it?
Oh, I realized that.
It's if you flip it upside down. It's not forwards and backwards. It's if you flip it upside down.
Yeah, I realized that the first time I saw her logo.
And I've got her signature here.
Period.
I love Denali. I would love to see her back on my TV one day. Who knows?
Yes, please.
Hopefully soon.
Yes, and I am just drinking. Well, I was just drinking a Monster because it's early and I'm sleepy. But right now, I have some water.
And that is an S tier Monster flavor. I will add, David Healy.
Oh yeah,
very, very
for sure. For sure.
And David and I are both utilizing our Manila Luzon fans today as well. Gotta shout out Manila.
Wonderful. And hello, I am Eduardo, the Mexican representative of this podcast. I'm here to talk shit and not get hit because I've lost all hope today. My car burned down. I'm empty. But other than that, I'm having coffee because Lord, do I need it. Lord, God, I am so tired.
Lord.
I am exhausted.
Not Galavado. Oh, Lord. Not Galavado.
Fully, that's how I
Not
feel.
Ekin-Su. Not Ekin-Su.
But
yes, we are back. It is another episode of Global All Stars.
Don't say it like that. Some of us still enjoy
it. Well, I'm saying it for my own personal feelings. Right. Another episode of Global All Stars. Actually, I have to say, I did enjoy this episode despite really hating the results. I enjoyed the episode. Still, kind of. Maybe.
It was one of the better ones.
Yeah. But we're going to dive into this international roast. I do love that at least two of us have coffee for this rich international roast, of which mine is not coffee and it is in fact espresso, because I am Sabrina Carpenter. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe if you've not already, because we're here almost all the time giving you almost all things drag. And as of next week, that is 5 drag programs a week. Yay!
I bet we'll be at 7 at some point this year.
No!
I bet we will be.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
David.
Don't bring that energy into the studio today.
I mean, to be fair, there are 2 more franchises to be released this year.
3 more.
What's the third?
Lamas.
Fuck! I did. Well, Julie.
I'm losing my mind.
I've lost all hope today. My car broke down. It was empty.
Yeah, and I'm only doing like 3 of them. What?
Yeah, be lucky you're only doing 3 of them.
Yeah.
And make sure to check out the description below where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, and our Patreon for exclusive content and early access, including early access to the Look Over Here episodes for the franchises we are currently covering. So I also do have, he's sleeping next to me, but I got a Rocket with me today. He might do some dog casting later. He's taking a nap because he didn't watch the episode. This is the only episode he didn't watch this week. He's currently on a strike because, as we learned last week, he is an ally of the Mexican people, and Galavado is gone, so he is currently on strike. For anyone that doesn't get it, Rocket is a dog, my boyfriend's dog, and he's taking a nap. So, but yes, he is an ally to the Mexican people, and Galavado is gone, and I'm still sad about it. So. Anyway, we go next day in the workroom because that's what they do, and they're sad that Gala's gone, and it's fine because they just skip over it.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah.
you
It makes me
over
so. What
all
did I
the
skip
cow
over?
puns that we got from Tessa when she was in the
Tessa is such a stupid bitch, and I love her so much.
Move over, Tessa. I'm over the cow puns.
I thought they were utterly hilarious.
Can we move on, please?
I don't think we can move on yet.
No, we can't because we got to settle some beef here.
I'm leaving.
Rare to have a segment as funny at the start of the episode.
Come on, Eduardo.
I've run out of ideas. I am so sorry.
I'm sorry, my dear. You are up for elimination. Logan, David, you are the winners of this week's mini challenge. Yay! Okay, now we can move on. I don't know why. When I was thinking of puns, the first thing that came to my mind was Jim Bovine.
Okay.
Before and after runway, Jim Bovine.
Mm.
You do Jimbo, Bovine, and Vine.
Yeah. I was actually just thinking about how they need to bring that back.
That is my favorite runway category they've ever done. It is so fun. It is so
Yeah, when they were talking on UK this week about like back by popular demand, I'm like, well, if you really want to bring back something by popular demand, bring back.
Well, with popular demand for UK, because UK does the Queen of My Hometown, which I honestly I wish they would do that on every franchise personally, because I do like it. For the UK, a little bit less because they've done it so much. But anyway, I just came up with one. Kitty Scott-Claus know me. It doesn't work as well. Anyway, we go to the next day in the workroom. See what happens when I podcast without having caffeine.
I don't think I heard you.
Kitty Scott-Claus know me, like Klaus know me, the designer.
Okay, yeah, no, I did.
You remember Courtney?
I did hear you. I just didn't get it.
You remember Courtney Act in the tuxedo look with the thing on season 6?
Well, of course.
That's Klaus know me inspired.
Okay, love that look.
It was a very good look. But we go to the next day in the workroom. RuPaul's pretty much comes in immediately. No mini challenge. I guess.
And Kitty wants a comedy challenge.
Reason. And comedy. Wow, shocker! What happens? A comedy challenge. And who gets to pick who goes first and like all the order? Kitty. And who's the guest judge? Graham.
Graham Norton.
I wonder who's gonna win this. I am so upset.
Melania.
You know, I really want to go back and review our podcast we did last year, Logan, where we talked about the rumored cast for Global All-Stars, because there's so many things that we really got right. Like I remember specifically being like, Kitty, any comedy challenge, I think she's going to be the one to watch because she is the comedy queen in this cast.
Well, Julie, you got it right, gal. But yes, it is a rich international roast. I do kind of like that they just themed the whole episode around coffee. Like I thought that was kind of cute, especially because they're filming in Colombia. And Colombian coffee is very good. Um,
Also fitting
but
for this podcast.
very fitting for this podcast. But yes, so Kitty gets to choose the order, blah blah blah. She takes forever in telling the girls the order and doesn't actually share the order with anyone until Graham comes into the workroom. And I was like, I don't like for what reason? Like
Mind games.
She was just being hateful this entire episode.
She's just a bunt. I can't say the real word on YouTube anymore, but she's just a bunt. Like, I really don't think I've ever had this much of a complete 180 on someone between their seasons. Other than maybe Milk. Milk is the only other person that comes to mind.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
But even then, since then,
I will
I've
get to it
back
more.
and I'm like, no, I love Milk. But,
yeah, I don't think I'm as down on Kitty as I was earlier in the season because I really don't think it's coming from a malicious place. I think she might not understand how she always comes across. So
Yeah, that's
I
what I
think
was
the
gonna bring up.
confessionals are
Yeah.
coming across not great. That's where I think, honestly, like that's most of what I think is kind of the issue with Kitty is like she may not understand how it comes across in like the interpersonal interactions. Like her interactions with Millennia have gotten a lot more positive since, but like in confessional, she just feels like I'm not going to say she feels like it feels like for me, production has given her the go ahead to just be kind of nasty in confessionals, and I don't know how much she realized they would actually get used.
but they all have a comedic angle. Like they're not just straight up mean.
Yeah.
I think the more
Some of
interesting
them,
yeah, I think the more interesting dynamic, like since we've had that kind of conflict between Millennia and Kitty, I think the more interesting dynamic has really become Queen and Millennia and how it just is like oil and water between them, even
yes,
when it's trying to be funny. Like I don't think they get each other at all.
no,
And you have Nelania, she has a whole confessional about that. She's like, I just don't understand Queen's humor because we're watching and we see Queen is trying to do that banter. It's just not landing, unfortunately.
yeah. And it's a lot of the same issue that Kitty had with Millennia. I will say, like, there is just an angle to certain comedic styles that Millennia is just not getting. And that's fair. Not everyone is going to understand everyone's humor. I don't understand David's most of the time, but that doesn't mean I don't dislike David.
You don't dislike me?
Anyway,
It means you don't.
That was a joke.
Anyways, moving on.
Okay. It doesn't mean you don't dislike me. That means you do.
I love David Healy. Let me make that very fucking clear. I don't need people coming for me on this podcast talking about me not liking David Healy because they have before.
Yeah. God.
I will say, for me, the highlight of the episode was seeing Graham Norton because I just love Graham Norton so much. I think he is one of the premier white gay men that they have on judging panels on Drag Race internationally. Like he is the Ben de la creme, the creme de la creme. Like for me, he is the best of the white gay men that does this. Because even if he's judging something that's outside of his area of expertise, he's still able to give really constructive, really overall positive critiques. And I like him for that. And I like for a roast that we're bringing in Graham. I would have also accepted Alan for this episode. I think Alan might have maybe actually fit a little bit better. But Graham, with his hosting experience, it makes sense. And also, I find the man wildly attractive. So I'm not mad at seeing him on my screen.
Yeah, I
I'll
think
be the
out of
next
all,
Tina
like,
Burner.
out of all of like the masculine judges that we have in all the franchises, I think Graham Norton is definitely one of the better ones. And I think he gave really good like advice when it came to like the actual roast to like things like, hey, you have to use what you count as like a disadvantage to your advantage. Like oh, you
Exactly.
have this like you have like you're not really good at English. Use that to your advantage and like
Mhm.
go hard at it. Uh, you're not super confident. Really like go for a character. Do something different. I really like and appreciate the advice that he gives, and I think he was a really good choice to bring in for this episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm pretty neutral on Graham. I'm honestly neutral to negative on everybody in that kind of position across all franchises except Reese. Reese is the only one I'm positive on. So I'm still hoping we get Reese this season. I don't know if he's confirmed for the lineup,
I
but
don't think, because
Hmm.
next week is finally Diane Brill.
Oh, I'm bringing on my
Finally,
Raking jacket.
Reagan
Raking jacket.
Jacket. I'm so finally. I'm thankful that Tessa is still going to be, spoiler, Tessa is still going to be in the competition for Diane Brill to be there. And I'm
Where
excited
is that
about it.
sound clip when I need it?
Hold on. I got it.
Reagan jacket.
Yes.
Reagan jacket.
I love it. I love it. If you have no
Eduardo
clue what
doesn't get
what we're talking about, go watch our review of season 1 of Drag Race Germany for the whole Reagan Jacket saga. We'll talk more about Diane Brill next week because I honestly want to just dissect Diane Brill as a character. If for no other reason, I want Drag Race Germany to finally get renewed for Diane Brill and only for Diane Brill and Barbie Breakout, but mostly Diane Brill. But yeah, I thought Graham's commentary was really, really good. Exactly to what you said, Eduardo. Like, take what you might perceive as a negative and turn it into a positive. I think a lot of the girls really at least tried to do that. And it was, it was good to see. But um, I I don't really remember there being anything else major in the workroom.
The only other thing was a conversation about like queens getting hate after their seasons.
Oh yes, the
Mhm.
canceling.
Yep. And the most interesting one was Vanity Vane. Especially like I think it's very interesting for somebody who this is their only exposure to Vanity. I bet they might be surprised that she's somebody who got a lot of hate, but it really is night and day, like the presentation of Vanity between the two
It
seasons.
it really is. Like I was really happy that we got commentary on that, and especially me, like throughout this whole season, eating my words when it comes to Vanity Vane. Like Vanity has
Mhm.
like absolutely skyrocketed into like my echelon of favorite Drag Race queens, honestly. And I could not stand her on season
Yeah.
1 of Scott-Claus. Like I could not stand her. I did not like her. I didn't understand the hype. Didn't understand why she was a finalist. And this whole season has just been me eating my words about Vanity Vane. Like if
Mhm.
you go back to our rumor video on Global All Stars, we all shat all over Vanity Vane.
Mhm.
Like, and Vanity, if you're watching, I'm sorry, girl. I'm sorry, girl. Like, you are. I'm eating my words.
Yep.
Words, I'm eating them. Like,
And I will go ahead and say this, spoilers for results of this episode. Vanity's actually my favorite of the top 6. So
Yeah, she's
I
definitely up
think
there for
Vanity is
me.
my second favorite of the top 6, honestly. Um, but yes, I guess with that being said, we should just go to the runway. Boom. Period. Uh, I honestly, for one of RuPaul's Scoochie Woochie dresses, this is a pretty damn good Scoochie Woochie dress.
I
Yeah,
agree. I think this is one of my favorite RuPaul looks all year, honestly. And it's because of those sleeves. The sleeves are doing the whole all the work here. I just really thought those were really cool. Like we've
Leave
seen
me alone for a second. I need to just digest how good this look is.
yeah. We've seen like a bunch of big sleeve looks like throughout the year, but I think this is how it's done. Like it just really
That's
works
how
well
it
for me.
should be done.
Mhm.
Zalda, you ate with this one.
Yes. No, this looks like it could be a promo. Like RuPaul would pick this look for a promo.
This is
Like
going to be
this would,
the promo look for season 17. I'm calling it right now.
I wouldn't be shocked if it was. Yeah, it's just like one of those random looks that are randomly really good and randomly then show up as like a as a promo look. So I think it's one of the better ones that we've seen RuPaul wear, especially in this season.
Ru looks great. I'm happy to see Michelle continuing the tradition of prolapse dresses on this year. Fierce Delicious, Charity, and now Michelle Visage.
And Jamal looks great.
And Graham looks great.
Yes.
Jamal's suit. I want the suit. The suit is cute. The suit is real cute. So, well, yes. Let's talk about our roast, everyone. We have roasting. Roasting is happening for some people and not for others. I do love that they had the little placards with their their badges on them. I thought that was a really, really cute touch. That is simple and like most people probably wouldn't even have noticed, but like I really liked seeing it. And to think there's the potential that maybe they made one for Mexico in hopes that Gala would be in this episode. Oh God, if Gala had somehow made it through Snatch Games, this would have been her episode to go home.
I mean, yeah, they were setting her
Like
up.
3 comedy challenges in a row.
I'm telling you, they were setting her up so hard.
Well, yeah, obviously.
What the fuck?
Well, obviously. Do we want to go in order because that's the way David likes to do it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's how my brain works.
I do also have a ranking for all of them. Yeah, it's pretty easy. 7 is pretty easy. David, why don't you go ahead and start? Let's start with Kitty Scott-Claus.
Yeah, so I really like Kitty in this roast. I do think that a lot of her jokes were kind of paint by numbers, like typical roast jokes. Like she did the whole some stars, and I'm like, we've heard that. But then she gave it like a more unique spin by saying, okay, it's actually all stars plus Tessa. And I'm like, okay, that was a good spin on it. I really liked her joke about Alyssa Edwards, and like now I see why maybe the anti-drag law should have been passed in Texas. I thought that was pretty good. She had some typical old jokes about RuPaul. I did like the one about she was actually there when the wheel was invented. That's why she doesn't.
That was my favorite joke of her set, and the way she set it up too was. And now it's time for some RuPaul old jokes. Like it was so in on the joke that I really I did like it.
Mm-hmm. Reclaiming my time. No, I'm kidding.
Anyway,
no, I get it. But we did have 3 different queens do the whole. If you like my set, then I've been whoever. Yes. I think hers was definitely the worst of the 3 because she did. Yeah, she did the thing we've heard a million times where you give your name, and if you didn't like it, give somebody else's name on the panel.
The next person in line. Like, yeah.
Overall, I thought she was good. She was reliable, nothing exciting. I had her number 3 for the roast.
Yeah, I think reliable is... Oh, sorry, Eduardo, go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, I'm not upset by any of this. Okay. I'm tired. I'm sorry. I'm tired. No, but Kitty was funny. I don't have a lot to say. Kitty was funny. I was kind of disappointed overall because I expected a lot from Kitty. Like, she is the comedy queen. And I felt like all of the jokes were super predictable. Like, I felt like I've heard every single one of the jokes that I've seen, that, like she said. I saw the some stars. I've seen it's all stars plus Tessa. I've seen if you like my roast, I'm this, and it just was kind of super predictable. And I thought she delivered it well, but for Kitty, this was a real downgrade from what she's capable of doing, what she has presented us before, especially on her original season, because on her original season, she had, I think, the best roast. And so I'm
Yeah.
just confused as to why we did such a downgrade. And so I was kind of let down, but I agree with you, David. I would have her third as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say reliable is absolutely the right word I would use for this roast for Kitty. I definitely agree. There was a lot of the classic standard jokes. Nothing was, over the top, super, super funny. Like I said, my favorite joke was the RuPaul was actually there when the wheel was invented, so that's why you don't need to reinvent it. Um, she was at the coronation of Queen Elizabeth the First, like that. Like it's RuPaul old jokes, but done like in a very kitty kind of way. I wasn't mad at her performance overall. I also had her third.
Okay. Next up, we had Vanity Vane. I think we've talked about it, but I feel like Vanity is the best when she's off the cuff funny and not when she has time to plan things. Because
Yeah.
as we saw here, it just didn't really land. The idea to sing her roast was a choice. I wish, if anything, she had just done that for like the beginning and then actually gone into a regular roast, because it just became a little bit cringy the more it went on. And I didn't get the whole thing about wanting a burger, and that kept coming up. Then there was a part where she calls Kitty an effing C word, and it just felt harsh. And even RuPaul was like, ooh, like, I don't know. Nothing quite landed for me. For me, I think it it was a clear seventh place for me, and that was Vanity. Like she was easily the worst, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. She was. I mean, I appreciate that Vanity took a swing, that she tried something, and that she knew that she was struggling, and therefore tried to do something to make it different and to kind of position herself as like someone that's doing something different and unique. And it definitely was. It just didn't hit or at all. Like it flopped real bad. And it's really unfortunate because, as we've said, and as you said, David, Vanity is actually really funny, but it's just when she's being naturally herself. And when she has to be funny, it just doesn't come out well. And I will say though, I thought they were just setting up Vanity from the very beginning because Vanity had barely said any words, and Kitty was already making a face of like, "Ooh, this is cringy,
Mhm.
this is bad." And so I want to critique that on the editing.
Editing, yeah.
Come on now, give it some time. Like we
Let
knew
us
that it was
figure
gonna
it
be
out
bad.
by yourself.
Yeah, and I had like that same issue with a few of the other uh, lower placement ones, but yeah, definitely Vanity tried something. It failed miserably, sadly. She was my seventh place.
I like Vanity a lot. I didn't like this roast, but I like her. I will say, I admire the fact that she went for something unique and different. This is not her forte, so going for a singing kind of route, like there is a way to make that funny. Unfortunately, she didn't. And I also had her at seventh.
Next up, we have Pythia. Um, for me, I think Pythia was a bit hit or miss with her jokes. Some of them landed, some of them didn't. It was just inconsistent the whole way. It was like peaks and valleys. It was a little roller coaster, like a kid roller coaster, because nothing was ever super high. Um, and I do think a lot of what she did just felt familiar. It was kind of like Kitty's in that it's kind of a paint by numbers roast. I just felt like hers overall was a bit less successful. I did like that she came out like making fun of Vanity, saying she wished she was deaf. Um, and then she had some good jokes. Like I thought oh, now I understand the Great British Pound joke to Kitty was
Mhm.
kind of funny. And then her joke about Alyssa being back rolls again. So she had some good jokes. They just never were like, haha, funny. They were like, funny. So for me, I don't think she was terrible. I would have had her low, but I wouldn't have had her lip syncing. She was actually number 5 for me.
Well, it's weird with Pythia because I feel like only one person did horrible this like really flopped this challenge, and then the other two that I would have had either in the bottom or low did fine, and Pythia is one of them. Uh, Pythia wasn't horrible. I will say that for sure. She wasn't horrible, but it just wasn't good. It just was lacking that confidence, and it was just lacking that just I don't know. There was some creativity with the jokes that was missing as well, and yet again, production like forcing it down our throats that Pythia is flopping, and it's giving us the crickets and the symbol and whatever. I'm getting tired of all of that, but like Pythia wasn't horrible. I just don't know like who else I would have put below her other than Vanity, and so because the other person that I would have had low, I think had funnier jokes and like delivered it with more confidence, at least at the very beginning. And I felt like Pythia was just missing confidence all around. And so for me, she was sixth.
Yeah, I think Pythia had a lot of really good material. There were a lot of good jokes, like we talked about. The back rolls was good. The joke to Kitty was good. Like there was some strong material there, but lacked she lacked that confidence. That's really just what it was at the end of the day. I had Pythia 6.
Oh, okay. Next up, we had Alyssa Edwards. I thought she had some pretty good jokes. First of all, she talked about Kitty looking like Gemma Collins, and then referenced the whole New York speech, which I thought was really good. And she saying
New
she's
York
looking.
reference on Drag Race, period.
Yes.
I love it.
I think my favorite jokes were the ones she had about Tessa, and saying that she's giving single white female. Um, and she said she has a cease and desist in order for her. Then she had I can't remember who it was about, but she was talking about like all of the filler that a bunch of the queens had, and she's like, this can't be FDA approved. Um, and actually, maybe her best joke was, my time is running out, just like Vanity's time in the competition. That was pretty. Honestly, Alyssa had some really good jokes. Like, I think some of her jokes were even better than Kitty's. Like, the more I'm thinking about it right now, but still, I think overall, I do have her number 4.
Yeah, when it comes to Alyssa, she really surprised me because we've seen Alyssa do a roast before, and we all saw it. It was rough. It's iconic for all the wrong reasons. And I think she has had a great improvement. I think she's gotten more confident, and she's gotten like she knows what she needs to do to really like deliver a joke pretty well. Uh, Her delivery was pretty good. Her jokes themselves were fine. I don't think any of them were super like the standouts at any moment ever, but like she definitely had really good delivery, and I think that might be what matters most because you don't really need to have super great jokes if you know how to deliver them. And Alyssa really proved that because this is basically what Pythia had to do. Because if Pythia had this confidence and this like ability to deliver the the jokes, she might have been saved. But yeah, I had Alyssa fourth as well.
I was pleasantly surprised with Alyssa in this challenge. I will say that much. I also have her at 4th, and a very solid, very clear. No one else would be 4th, just Alyssa. But I still thought it was a very good performance. Confidence absolutely was there. The material a little bit more hit and miss, but most of the material was there. What I was looking for was some better comedic timing. While she had confidence, some of her jokes she just kind of started like speeding through. And that detracted from the overall performance for me. But I would still have had her fourth. I think she did a good job. I was happy to hear her get critiqued as well. And to technically get a spot in the top, I'm not mad at that because it was light years better than Santino. Will you please shut the fuck up with your no drag knowledge mouth? It was better than that.
Mhm.
So props to you, mama.
I mean, it's hard to be worse than that, honestly.
For sure.
I think Vanity was.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Vanity was.
Yeah.
No shade, love you, Vanity. But...
Next up, we have Nelania. I think she was the biggest surprise of me for this roast because if you watched last week's podcast, I had Nelania as a prediction of somebody who I thought would struggle with the roast. But she had some really good jokes, like her joke to Tessa, where she was like, "I don't know what's worse, your pink dress or no, there's nothing worse than that." And then she just had a really strong delivery too. Like even her beast joke, like she really committed with that. And I liked her joke to Queen, where she's like, "I didn't forget about you. Well, it did between your season and now, but I didn't forget about you today." I thought that was really good. And I think she had the best joke to RuPaul, where she's like, "Yeah, we both lie to people and say we can sing." So overall, I really enjoyed her. She was my number 2 overall.
Yeah, Nelly really, really surprised me with this because I thought from the very beginning, like, Nelly, I think as of right now, is the one that struggles the most with her English. And so I immediately thought that that it was gonna be a struggle there, that she wasn't really gonna be able to come up with jokes that kind of made sense. But I was glad to be proven wrong. I'm so glad to be proven wrong. Nelly did such a good job. And at this point, I'm just begging. I'm begging production, give her a challenge win because at this point, she deserves one because she constantly keeps proving herself and she keeps doing better and better than I expect her to do. And so I'm just shocked that she doesn't have a win at this point. But Nelly just really had really creative and really good material, and she knew what would make Rue laugh, and she was smart with it, and she just performed it really well. I don't know what else to say. Nelly did a really good job, and I also had her second.
Yeah, Nelly did such a good job. I was really, really happy with how she did. Her joke to RuPaul was my favorite joke of the entire roast, honestly. Um, the delivery was there. She was the one that took Graham's advice the most to heart and really, really just absorbed it and did what she needed to do in this challenge. It was really spectacular. I also had her at number 2.
Okay, next up we have Tessa Testicle. So this was an interesting one. I do feel like she started off stronger than she ended, but even her jokes at the beginning, I don't think she knocked them out of the park. Like she started off pretty early on with a joke about people bottoming, and she said the only people who bottom more than me on my season were Pythia in a dance challenge, in Vanity, in Global All Stars, and like even thinking about it, it's like, well, did they? Did they though? Because it's hard to beat like bottoming 80% of your first 5 episodes. But then she just got pretty nervous and it became very visible. So like if I said Pythia was like a child's roller coaster, maybe Tessa was like a more like a young adult roller coaster that started off strong and then it just went down and just kept going down and it didn't have highs. And so she called I think she called Queen fat with one of her jokes, which I was like, is Queen fat? I don't think Queen is fat. Yeah, and a lot of it felt very referential. I do like that she ended calling herself Tessa the orphan because she was being very aware that maybe she lost her place in the Edwards household. So that was probably the funniest thing for me. But overall, I think just because the momentum just kept dying and it kept getting a little bit more uncomfortable, she would have been number 6 for me.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Uh, I think Tessa did fine. I think when it comes to like Pythia and Tessa, which I think both did fine, I think Pythia kind of just fizzled out pretty evenly, and Tessa had higher highs, but also lower lows. So it's kind of hard to really come up with who did worse. But at the same time, as I said, I think Tessa had a little bit more confidence at the very beginning of her set, and had, I think, a little bit more creative jokes at the very beginning at least. My biggest issue with Tessa is the fact that she was constantly looking down at her cards and at her jokes.
Mm.
That's my biggest issue. It's fine if you don't remember bits and pieces of your jokes. It's fine if you have to look down and kind of remember, but constantly looking down to the point where you're telling the joke like this and you're making movements while your head is down, it's just not it it doesn't give off good energy. It gives off the fact like the idea that you just didn't learn any of your jokes and are not confident in them. And so that was an issue. But I think overall, the fact that she had higher highs than Pythia makes me have her just 1 point higher than her. So that's why I have her fifth.
Yeah, Eduardo pretty much took all of what I was going to say about Tesla, honestly. Like, I just feel very, very similarly. For me, because she had stronger jokes and stronger delivery in her higher moments, I also have her at number 5. Um, I hated it because I love her dearly, and I was hoping that this would be a challenge for her to shine in. I was really, really hopeful for it. We didn't see that.
Well, lastly, we have Queen Kong. For me, I think she had the best and most consistent jokes throughout her set. Um, she had the joke about Tessa not knowing her father, which was funny. Uh, I really liked her joke about Kitty putting the person of color last on the list. Oh, I think my favorite was when she was like, Pythia is Greek for pathetic. Because I did not see that coming. She had a joke about Alyssa's hairline now starting in the middle of her back. Just she was another one that was very reliable, but in a funnier way. So for me, like she absolutely deserved her win, and I did have her number 1 for the night.
Yeah, I think Queen kind of demolished and ate this challenge up and left no
Mhm.
crumbs. Like there was no, for me, there was no like arguing that anyone else should win. Like at most Nelly, but like even then, I think Queen was way more consistent and way more confident in her jokes and had really good delivery to them. And her jokes, all of them, were creative and unique and something that I haven't heard before, which to me is one of the things that I'm also really looking out for when it comes to the roast because you could have really good delivery, but if I've heard your jokes, I'm gonna put you a little bit lower than like someone that comes up with really like creative jokes. I think Queen was just the best overall package. She was consistent, she was funny, and she had really good jokes. I don't know what else to say. I think Queen deserved her win. She was my number 1.
I mean, this might be the most kumbaya podcast we've had in a really, really long time. Guess what? I also have Queen at number 1. The delivery was there. The jokes were good. The timing was great. This was a masterclass in roasting. Period.
I don't know. We had a huge disagreement on whether whether Pythia and Tessa was higher in the roast. Other than that, our rankings
Literally
are
the same.
identical.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Not
you two had
surprised.
completely identical rankings.
Twinsies. But yeah, we'll just go to the results because they're Untucked was nothing.
Yeah, truly.
So we did get a top 4 this week, and for Alyssa maybe being safe for a lot of the challenges this season and being high, for a couple, I was fine with her technically getting a top spot here. Whatever. Alyssa, Millennia, Queen, and Kitty. They decide a double win between Kitty and Queen. And can we just wrap up this season already?
Lord, I'm tired. I've lost all hope today.
The only thing at this point, the only thing that is going to redeem this season for me is if Queen Kong wins.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
I do want to give both of them credit. Like, they have been, for the most part, very consistent.
Yes.
And really, it's mostly Kitty's runways that are kind of holding her back, in my opinion. And
it should have held her back from a win this week.
Well,
we'll talk about it and look over here.
Yeah. I do want to quickly talk about some of the critiques on the main stage, because there were a few highlights for me. We'll talk about the actual look, but I really enjoyed and I'm like, this is where you're funny. This is where you're funny, Vanity. When RuPaul was asking if she made that look, and Vanity was like, no, and just kind of looked to the side.
around.
And anything else to say? Ho, ho, ho. I was like, you're so funny.
I just love her.
Mm-hmm. And then we had Rue talking to Pythia about, like, what if you had done your roast as your Zeus character? And we had Pythia do, like, one of her jokes about, like, a greatest hits CD for RuPaul, and they didn't want to put out a blank CD. And I was like, why was this not part of the roast? Like, this was that. It really worked. Like,
if she had just done the roast as Zeus, she would have been fine.
Yeah,
it was
but
so
at the same time, I do think that they would have critiqued her anyways, because they would have said, "Oh, we just saw you do this character. We want to see versatility. We
I
want to
think
see
Michelle
something
would have critiqued
different."
her. I think Michelle would have critiqued her, and I think Rue would have loved it.
I agree. The other thing that I liked is that they brought up Alyssa and how she needs to remember where the camera is. I'm like, Alyssa, of anybody, should know this by now. But then Alyssa was like, I'm ready for my close-up, and just stared at the camera.
And they give it to her.
They did a close-up.
I loved
that. That is the Alyssa I love. That, like, that's why she at one point was considered my favorite queen ever. Yeah. But that's all I had from critiques on the main stage.
Yeah.
Period for her. But yes, so we go to a bottom 3. The clear bottom 3.
Yeah.
Tessa, Vanity, and Pythia. We end up with a bottom 2 of Vanity versus Pythia. I don't disagree.
I do.
I could have seen it as Vanity versus Tessa. That would have destroyed me inside and probably provided a truly iconic lip sync. And even Tessa said herself she was upset that she didn't get to lip sync to this song. And honestly, for that reason alone, I might have just put Tessa on the bottom. But again, I didn't want to see any of these 3 go home. So it was just like,
they just keep putting my faves in the bottom, and I'm just like,
literally,
these are my top 2 queens in the cast now that are left. So I was like, this is a lose for me.
And is number 3 Tessa?
I think 3 is Nelania at this point. But I really love Tessa. She's up there too.
Anyway, Vanity and Pythia lip syncing to I Drove All Night by Celine Dion. And this was, I will say, a good lip sync.
Yes.
But nothing is ever going to compare to Kiara and Priyanka doing this song in Canada.
Absolutely.
That is my favorite lip sync of all time. I watch that lip sync at least once a month. Like, if I need a serotonin boost, I watch Kiara and Priyanka lip sync to that song.
Yeah.
This was good, though, from both of them. I thought both of them did good.
Yeah.
Vanity tore the stage up, and I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I agree. It was definitely Vanity's win here. I do think this is the best I've seen Bethia lip sync, because we did see her lip sync a couple times on her first season, and it wasn't great. It was pretty disappointing.
Her
But
lip syncing has definitely improved.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But I do kind of have a hot take, like going back to the I drove all night of it all. But for me, I am a little bit mixed on the original one we got in season 1 of Canada's Drag Race. For me, though, if I were to like rank performances of lip syncs in this, it's got to be Priyanka, then Vanity, and then Pythia for me, and then Kiki is last. Yep, it's always been my hot take. I felt way too much desperation from Kiki. She was doing way too much in that lip sync, and it kind of detracted for me.
Okay, well, you're entitled to your wrong opinion. That's fine.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Don't worry about it. I was I like this song. I like this song choice, but at the same time, I feel like when there's a song that has already been done and it's kind of iconic for the lip sync that it has, you kind of are putting the other people in a situation in which they're gonna like their lip sync is just gonna look worse no matter what. And this is kind of what happened in my view. It just felt like a weaker lip sync than the original one. And it's just unfortunate that this happened because both of them did a pretty good job. And I was pretty surprised with what Prithia was doing. Like I don't know how she was able to do such perfect like twirls when she was on her knees. Wild. But still, Vanity absolutely ate this up. And I love Pythia so much. She looked great while she was lip syncing. Great choice to lip sync on that look, but I think at the same time it might have detracted from it because the ribbons were hitting her face, and therefore she had to take them away. And so I think there was a good lip sync, but definitely Vanity won it for me.
Yeah.
I have a question for you all. Like at the very beginning of the lip sync, we had Vanity go to this side of the stage, and then Pythia walked over there, and they were just there lip syncing. And then suddenly it cuts to Tessa being like, oh, and points, and Alyssa also pointed. And I'm like, wait, what happened? And I rewound it to see like what significantly happened. And they were just standing there lip syncing.
I think it might have been the potential of like Pythia running into Vanity without knowing it.
Okay.
Because
It
they
was a
were
weird
walking
editing
like
choice.
yeah, it was a very weird editing choice, but they were kind of like walking together. I think there was like the potential that maybe they were gonna walk into each other. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Because Pythia kept walking behind Vanity and kind of like getting covered by her. I don't know what that was all about, but yeah, maybe it was a thing of like
Maybe
they're
you can
gonna.
find out, Logan.
What?
Maybe you can find out, Logan.
Yes, maybe you can find out.
Okay. On this week's episode of What Am I Asking Tessa Testicle?
Yeah,
Well, yeah, you know what? I will ask her, and maybe I will have an update for next week.
maybe. But yes,
No.
overall, I still thought it was a good lip sync for sure, and it really helped with the wind machines.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, I loved having the wind machines too for it. I thought it was a really cute touch. Like I was really, really happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
It really helped Pythia, I think.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely.
I had an idea, like maybe 30 minutes ago, while we were talking. Like, here's what I think would be like a cool twist for a season. I think, like, imagine if they started off a season, all the queens, like they always do, they know all the songs that are potential lip sync songs. What if you gave everybody in the cast like 100 chips and said, here, you can use these chips throughout the season, as many as you want, to vote for what the lip sync song is going to be. And that way, the ones that feel the most vulnerable, they can put however many chips they want in for a specific song that they're hoping would be the lip sync song if they feel like they might be at risk. And that way you could have like a little bit more fine-tuned lip syncs for whoever might be in danger. I think it would be an interesting kind of twist to throw in there.
Honestly, I live.
Yeah, I'd be down. I think that's
I
a
love
good,
that, actually.
like even if
That's a
it's
good twist.
yeah, even if
Mhm.
it's the queens voting like just like normally, like hey,
Yeah.
I want this song to be the lip sync choice, and then there's also like a little bit of strategy when it comes to like if you're not in the bottom and you still get to vote or give your chips, you can still use that as like, oh, I think this person is lip syncing and I see them as competition. I'm gonna vote or like put my chips in a song that they can't do or like are gonna struggle with to make sure that they go.
Yeah,
So that would be interesting.
I like that. I like that.
The only thing that might be a little bit of a hiccup is if there's like a guest judge and they're doing their song. Like obviously they would want it reserved for those episodes. But other than that, I think it could be an interesting dynamic for sure.
Yes, yes, yes.
Anyway, we say goodbye to Thea. Not anyway, but to segue the conversation.
Yes.
Thea's gone.
I'm
And she has
sorry.
an iconic exit moment. She just stands there, slowly moves her head, and then walks off.
Honestly, iconic.
It really
Iconic.
is.
It really was. She was just like, blink.
And everybody died.
Hey, if
Well,
she's
yeah.
gonna have an exit line, it's kind of a cute way to exit. She's like, "Fuck all of you," but I can't say that because I'm on TV in front of RuPaul. So I'm just gonna blink.
It's the least amount of words we've had in an exit since the Fierce Brock ally. Why can't I remember her name?
Dahlia
Dahlia
Faye.
Faye.
Shout out to Dahlia. She's actually a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love
I like her. I like Dahlia. Oh, okay. I was so happy to see Pythia on this season. I've loved Pythia for a long time. She was one of my absolute favorites coming out of Canada season 2. I was so proud to see her as the Canadian choice. I really think she deserved a top spot on this season. And, it goes to show one wrong move and one wrong episode and you're done.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. You know what's really cool? I was just thinking about this earlier is so we have Lana, who's usually with us, and she did not get to watch the first 3 seasons of Canada's Drag Race. But I was just thinking about it and I'm like, oh, she's actually gotten to see my favorites from each of those seasons back on a different season. Because Jimbo, she saw on All Stars 8, she saw Pythia here, and she
then
saw
Fierce.
Fierce on
Yeah.
Versus the World. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. And she's on Traders as well. So
Oh,
love my
that's right.
queens.
I forgot.
And
about
speaking of traders, it was Vivian Westwood inspired.
that. It was inspiring.
Also, I will go ahead and end off this episode with today's episode of asking Tessa Testicle because I did get a reply. So I asked her. No, it wasn't Girl IDK. She's actually still typing right now, and I love it. Shout out to Tessa. So I asked her what they were pointing at, and she said Vanity outperforming Pythia.
Oh, okay.
They were a little surprised by that. She said, I don't know if it was one particular stunt. Maybe when she leaned back and shifted gear, but we were just gagged at the carnage that was happening.
Damn.
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
there
yeah.
you go.
Ooh, and I'm going to save that last message for not on the podcast. But we have a draft update.
Do we have to? Wait, do we have to? Do we have to? I don't think we have to. We can move on, right? We can move on.
Eduardo.
We can move on.
Sorry, my dear.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. Don't do this
You
to
have been
me.
eliminated from the draft.
Oh, no.
Sashay away. I'm gone. Goodbye.
Back to back to back.
Yeah, I lost all my queens back to back to back. Wow.
I lost one,
So
River
upsetting.
lost one, and then all of the other eliminations so far have been, well, except for Soa. But yeah, so Eduardo ends the draft with 42.5 points. And of the people who have been on this podcast this season that drafted, River and I are currently tied for first.
Yay.
You know what's funny is I did not participate in this draft, but it's because I had been spoiled on a few things, and I was like, well, it's not fair if I know a spoiler to participate. But the only things that I knew were that Athena was out first, and then I had heard two other people were out early, and those are Bethia, who was not out early,
not out early.
Somebody who is still in the competition was out early. So
yep, I heard that same rumor. Yeah, because the rumor was really mixed on, if I remember right, it was mixed on where Eva and Pythia landed. So there were some rumors that were saying Eva was 7th, and there were some rumors that said Pythia was 7th, but we knew the other one went in the other person's spot.
Okay.
So those were the two, I believe, that were back and forth.
Yeah.
But that is where we're going to leave off for today. Just over an hour for you for this recap. Make sure to check out the look over here where we talk about all of the windy looks, windswept, blowing me away looks. Thank you for joining us for this recap. If you made it through this recap, God bless you for still watching this season like we are. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share on the way out. Let us know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And make sure to check out the description where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, our Patreon, our social media, and where you can get your merch, including the Not Limited to Cup mug. And with all that being said, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. So, cheers!
Cheers. Mabu bye.
Coffee is cold.
Wait, I'm blowing myself away.
Adios.